This video is about balancing equations. These first two examples will be the introductory level that covers the basics of how to balance equations. So this one says H2 plus Cl2 yields HCl. And what we want to do is we want to get the same number of atoms of every element to be the same on both sides. That means the same number of H's over here and over here. Same number of Cl's here and here. Now, there are some things we can do and some things we cannot do. We cannot add a subscript. So, for example, we cannot do this. Can't do that. We can't change this guy. We can't cancel that out. Can't do that. What you can do is add a coefficient. That's a number in front of your compound. So we're going to need to figure out what coefficients to put in these boxes to make this equation balanced. What I like to do first is to count up my number of atoms of each element on each side. So I list my elements under the arrow, and I already did that. So for H, I look on this side, so here's the arrow. I look on this side of the arrow, and I have 2 H atoms. For Cl, I look on this side of the arrow, I have 2 Cl atoms. On the product side, I have 1 H and 1 Cl. Now the number that I put in the box, the coefficient, is going to go for the whole compound, and it's multiplied by the amount of stuff already there. So I need something that'll make the number over here and over here the same. And just a heads up, you can't just mess with this number down here, you have to add a coefficient first. Well, if I put a 2 right here, that gives me 2 H's and 2 Cl's. Now I have the same number of H, same number of Cl on both sides, so this equation is balanced. So that's all it took, was a 2 in front of here. Note that on the Positive Chemistry website, if you have a blank box, write a 1 in there. That's just so your question will get marked correct. Remember that if you have a blank in front of something, it means you have 1 of it. Let's look at the next example. For this one, we have Al2O3 yields Al plus O2. I went ahead and listed my elements under the arrow. Now I'm going to count my atoms on each side. I had 2 aluminum, 3 oxygen on the left or reactant side of the arrow, 1 aluminum, and 2 oxygen on the product side. All right, so a lot of times when you see an element that has 3 atoms on one side and 2 on the other, you're going to try and make them into the lowest common multiple, which is 6. That's not true every time, especially if that element is split across 2 compounds. But often, if you see a 3 and a 2, try and make them both 6. So if I have 3, and I want it to be 6, then I need to put a 2 in front of here. So I'm going to write a 2 in this box. I'm going to update my elements below. Now this 2 is going to go to aluminum and to oxygen, everything until you hit a plus or an arrow. So now I have 4 aluminum and 6 oxygen. Well, I can fix my oxygen now. I have 6 oxygen here and 2. I want 6 oxygen. I can put 3 in front of here. Now I have 3 times 2, 6 oxygen. Oxygen is balanced because I have 6 on the left side, 6 on the right side. Aluminum's not balanced yet. I have 4 over here, and I want 4 here. I cannot add a number down here, but I can add 1 in front. I can put a 4 right here. And now this equation is balanced because I have 4 aluminum. Note that the number of aluminum atoms and oxygen atoms does not need to be the same, but for oxygen, it does need to be the same on both sides. Aluminum does need to be the same on both sides. And that's the basics of how to balance equations.